Okay, our speaker today, I really hope, part of what we talked about going forward was, can you identify what the problem is these entrepreneurs are trying to address? And then who is it that has the problem they're trying to help? And then what is their solution and how are they making it work? I'm really excited today to have Amelia Wilcox speak to us about her company, which is Nivati. And I'm not going to say much about the business because I think she's going to tell you all about it. But again, look for what the challenge is and where the passion is that she's kind of come in. The title of her talk is on pivots and grit, also two really good components. So can you hear us and see us okay, Amelia?
Yes, sir. Can you guys see me and hear me okay?
Okay, we're good. And if there's any questions, I'll ask for them as it kind of comes up. So go ahead, you're on.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to share my screen. Maybe? All right, can you guys see that? Cool. Well, if you guys can see that, then I'm just going to dig in. So I'm Amelia Wilcox, and I'm the founder and CEO here at Nivati. And I am going to just open and tell you guys a little bit about how I got started into entrepreneurship. So just a few things about me to start off with. I'd like to change my hair a lot. So it's just like a fun thing. I think there's something I was just born with ever since I was like old enough. I think I dyed my hair the first time when I was like 11. I just like doing different things and looking different, being different people. And so that's kind of just me as a person. I'm stimulated and excited by new experiences and switching things up. I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri with 3 siblings. My brother's a couple years younger than me, and then my mom got remarried, and I had 2 little baby sisters at home when I was growing up. One of them lives in Lehigh, and the other one's in Kansas City still. And then I met my husband and moved to Utah when I was 19, moved to Utah, met my husband when I was 20, and we got married. And then I have 3 beautiful daughters now, 16, 13, and 10. And my 10-year-old is the one that is homesick today with mono, which is why I'm not there in person. So we were hoping she was feeling better, but she is still pretty sick. And then this is my executive team just maybe 6 or 7 months ago. So I started a company called Incorporate Massage in 2010, and I had two young babies at the time, and I started this company bringing massage into the workplace because my personal background is in massage therapy. And so when I started the company, I grew it as a stay-at-home mom trying to balance raising my babies and starting this business to make a little extra money and get our family out of debt, which we'll talk about more in a minute. But what is pretty cool is that there's like an echo. I can hear myself talking. I don't know if we can turn that off, but I'll just keep going. What's really cool about it is because I started the company as a stay-at-home mom with young kids. I started hiring other stay-at-home moms with young kids that had skills and experience and had left the workforce because they wanted to be home with their children. And it wasn't like it is now where everyone can work remotely. So this is my executive team on a fun canyoneering trip. And then as we've grown, we've brought in, parents, stay-at-home dads and things that are, working from home and trying to take care of their babies, and it's been pretty awesome. So we have a very flexible work environment, and I've heard the saying that the culture of the company will reflect the culture of leadership or of the founders, right? And for me, my guiding principles have been that I need to be able to raise my kids. I don't want them in daycare. It has to be something I can do and still raise a family. And so that has carried out over into the whole organization, which is something I'm really proud of. So in the very beginning, where my story starts, this is the only picture I have of this particular company, really. My husband and I, in 2005, started an online outdoor retail store. So similar to like a backcountry.com. And we sold tents and backpacks and sleeping bags and things like that. And we were just running it out of our garage. So he had gotten a job at a company here in Utah called Liberty Mountain, and they're a wholesale distributor for outdoor goods. And so because he was an employee there, he got his own wholesale account. And we thought, oh, that is so awesome. We're just going to go ahead and set up just a little side business where, you know, we can try to sell outdoor gear and then we can just drop ship it, meaning we don't have to house the inventory ourselves. We can just pay the wholesaler to actually ship it on our behalf. And it will just be this super easy business with not a lot of startup capital. And I feel like that's how all businesses start. You think, oh, it's going to be so easy. And it never is. But we ran that business for 4 or 5 years. And then what happened in 2008? Do you guys remember? In 2008, the Great Recession hit. And so people stopped buying outdoor gear. They stopped buying camping equipment. People were unemployed. They were just, you know, trying to make it through. Didn't know how they were going to pay their bills. So we, at this point, had grown from just a drop shipping business of, you know, certain products to we wanted to carry bigger brands. So we had, you know, Sierra Designs and Big Agnes and, you know, Patagonia and things like that. We had all these businesses in. And, oh, you guys muted yourself. Okay, I won't ask you any more questions. Perfect. Anyway, so we had all this inventory in our garage. Our garage was just, we couldn't park cars in there. It was just full of inventory. So when the recession hit in 2008, and people stopped buying stuff, we were left with a garage full of inventory, no way to sell it. We had to liquidate it for less than we had bought it for. So the end result of that was that my husband and I had about $60,000 in debt, and I was a massage therapist doing about 5 hours of massage a day, which if any of you have done a massage, it's like that's a lot of wear and tear in your hands and arms and fingers. And so I was starting to have pain. And then my husband's a firefighter, so he was doing that. And then he was also working some side jobs, driving concrete truck and doing security down at Kennecott at night. We were just working as hard as we could, and we couldn't do much more. So I decided, I guess this slide is premature. So I decided in 2010 that I couldn't outwork the problem. My husband and I couldn't take on any more jobs. I couldn't do any more massages. And the only way we were going to get out of debt, and you know, we were at risk of losing our house. I had to borrow money from my parents to buy groceries. It was just like the lowest point up until that point in my life. It gets lower, and I'll tell you that in a little bit. But anyways, we were just about on the verge of losing everything. We had these kids we had to take care of. We didn't know what we were going to do. We couldn't work any harder. And so I said, I'm going to start another business, but we need to start a business that has no startup capital needs because we have no money. And we need to start a business that is a service-based business because we don't have any capital to invest in any kind of product-based business or anything else. So I want to do something I'm passionate about. So I decided to build a business around massage. And I had a friend that I had gone to massage school with who when she graduated, her brother had hired her to do chair massages for his employees at this company in Salt Lake. So I called her up and I just said, hey, I have all these questions. Can you answer them? So I think I've always been super curious, and you know, I just kind of hit her over and over again with all these questions. I was like, well, how do they sign up and how do they pay for it? And you know, they had like a paper sign-up sheet at the front desk, and the receptionist had to manage it. And then I was like, how do you invoice them? What do you charge? And she had started paying someone else to do the massages maybe 3 or 4 years in, and never went back to doing them herself. So she had somebody she paid. Basically, he made half the money, she made half the money, and she had about like $700 of residual income a month. And I just thought, man, that could change our lives to have an extra $700 a month. So I got on the phone with her and I just started asking her all these questions. And I thought, you know, I think we could leverage technology to make all these experiences better. So instead of having, you know, a paper sign-up sheet people have to walk up to the receptionist and like sign their name to, there's scheduling software out there we can leverage. And so that's what I did. So in 2010, I started a company called Incorporate Massage, and we provided on-site massage programs and businesses across the U.S., and it grew into Canada and Mexico as well. And so the first few years, it was kind of just a side project. I was like, you know, it was me in the beginning, and I was manually text messaging these massage therapists, and I was going into all these businesses. I was doing all the cold calling, and I was asking them, you know, hey, we'd love to come in and massage your employees. It's really good for stress relief. It's a good benefit to help retain employees. So I was kind of experimenting with all these different messages, and I get in there, I start booking some events. The first event I booked was with Ray Quinney and Nebaker, a law firm downtown Salt Lake. And they had called me and said, what do you charge? We want 3 massage therapists for admin day in 6 weeks. And I didn't have any staff. I didn't know what I charged. In fact, I had traded for logo design and for website design and for brochures and even uniforms. I just traded with all of my friends, given them free massages and their spouses free massages in order to kind of get the business started. Then I just started handing those flyers out to everyone I knew and saying, take this to work and see if they'll hire me. So that first job came in with Ray Quinney Nebaker. And then from there, it just started growing. And so in the beginning, it's just me and I'm kind of managing the schedule. Then I hire somebody part-time to come in and do what I was doing manually. And then we start hiring more and more of those people as we scale. So as you can see here, I didn't start taking a real salary until 2016. It was just kind of a side job. I was just trying to reinvest those funds back into the business. And then once I started taking a salary, even at that point, I think it was only $500 a month. It was not a lot. But it took me a while to figure it out. I had to figure out how to sell. I had to figure out what problem I was solving and what my unique value proposition was. But in 2016, we closed an account with Intel, and it started as a little $30,000 annual contract. And then I grew that contract to $750,000 a year over 8 locations, providing massage for all of their customers. So we had a big whale, and that's what happened in 2016. That's when I went full time. Also in 2016, we started building our own platform. So we built out a system that could automate our internal processes. And then we built out a system that could automate the customer experience. So I thought, our sales team is spending all this time closing these little $500, $1,000 deals. What if we could just automate that and people could just go to the website, they could put in whatever they wanted, and then massage therapists just magically showed up at their place of work. And so that's what we did. We started building that out. In 2018, I won a $100,000 grant from the state of Utah for our platform. And then I had to raise matching funds in order to receive that grant. So they said, we'll give you $100,000, but you have to go raise $100,000 to get that money. And so I was like, well, I can't pass up a free $100,000. So they put you through an accelerator, taught you how to speak to investors. Also in 2016, I went through the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program. So I learned how to do finance. I learned a lot more about marketing. I learned about fundraising. So all these skills kind of just had to go out and find those sources of education on my own. And then you can see just our customer growth as well, month over month, year over year, is just growing and growing and growing. So we had really, really solid growth. In 2019, we were on the Inc. 5000. In 2020, we were on the Inc. 5000. Utah 100, Utah Fast 50. I was a 40 under 40. So we're just winning all these awards. We're growing really fast. I started raising money, and we ended up raising $335,000 in angel funding in 2018. Got back to profitability in 2019 and raised $600,000 in angel funding, because we came to the investors with this idea of hey, our clients are asking for all these other services. They're saying, hey, can you guys do on-site yoga? Can you do facials, pedicures? Can you do chiropractic? So there's all these things. And we had partners to fulfill those needs because they were asked so often that I was like, oh yeah, here we work with this company for this. We use Jet Dental for dental cleanings. There's all these vendors. And at this point, everybody's bringing everything on site for their employees. So the employees are never leaving campus, and they're trying to bring all these services in. And so I thought, how about if we did more than just massage? We started bringing in vendor partners, putting them on the platform, and then letting companies book whatever they needed through just one app instead of having to go through and find all these different vendors. So we were going to become a marketplace. So I went to our investors, I got new investors, I raised $600,000 for this marketplace idea, and we started building out the new marketplace platform. And at this point, we're 75% of the way through the build. We're working with about 4,000 companies. We have 1,200 massage therapists all over North America. We're on track to do 6 million in 2020, winning all the awards. Stuff's going awesome. And then what happened in March of 2020? This is what happened. So we have revenue, and then March was cut off halfway. We cut everything off March 13th. So March was going to be this humongous month that was going to be like double February, right? Like these January and February numbers are small. March was going to be huge. April's typically huger. And then May is usually our biggest month of the year. So we had to cancel everything. The whole world shut down. We had customer calls coming in over and over and over again all day long. Just saying, hey, we need to move our date. Oh, we're shut down. We're out of the office for 2 weeks. Or, hey, we're going remote. We don't know if we're ever going to come back. We want to cancel. So the needs on the customer side were going through the roof. And then on the practitioner side, so our actual massage therapists, we had people that are scared to go to work because of COVID. We had people that were desperate for work because they needed work, because how are they going to feed their family, and they're trying to pick up everything. And then we had considerations around, having to issue PPE and then building policies around it. So internally, all of our needs on the support side went through the roof, but we had no revenue coming in. So I actually had to furlough like my entire team. One of my executive team members, my director of operations, stayed on board and was willing to work for just stock because I couldn't afford to pay her. Because we had to conserve, I think we had like a couple $100,000 in the bank, and we had to conserve that cash. So we didn't go out of business. And then it was like me trying to figure out, okay, well, what direction am I going to take the company now? So I sat down with my board of directors, and the board was like, well, I mean, try everything, but they were prepared to file for bankruptcy. They didn't tell me that till later, which I'm glad they didn't. They were cheering me on, but meanwhile, they're like saying, all right, I think we're done for, like, this is the end of Incorporate Massage. So then I just get to work doing market research. So I get on the phone with all of our heads of HR that we work with, and I just start asking them every question I can think of. I'm trying to uncover a new need. And I'm asking them, how are your employees doing? What are they struggling with? What needs do you guys have now that you're not in the office? Like, just looking for some sort of clue as to an opportunity that we as a company could come in and fill with all this change going on in the market. And so I'm trying to remember what my next slide is. Yeah, so this is where we ended up. So I sent out a survey to all of our 1,200 massage therapists, and I asked them, what else can you guys do? What other certifications and licenses do you guys already have? Because it's really common for massage therapists to also be personal trainers or registered dietitian or yoga instructors. They typically do a lot of different things. So I came up with a list of basically 6 service types, and they were yoga and fitness, meditation, nutrition, life coaching, and then massage therapy and stretching. And I just built a team of 15 practitioners, and I said, okay, guys, we're going to try this experiment. We're going to see if we can serve corporate clients in a new way where we're delivering these services. My original idea was one-on-one. So being able to work with a personal trainer or a life coach, because I wanted the ratio to be the same as massage. If all we were doing was like big group classes, then it's like we would have to charge astronomical rates for that per employee revenue number to kind of match up. And if it didn't match up, we couldn't make a business that would thrive. Because if we were charging $100 and they could get wellness services for 100 people, that doesn't really make us very much money. So I really wanted to do this one-on-one idea. So we launched this with just like 4 or 5 companies here in Utah to pilot it out. And a couple things happened. So the first thing that happened is our clients started asking us over and over again. We got requests for recording the sessions. They wanted us to record the sessions so they could put them in their intranet so their employees could come back and like redo that meditation. Or they wanted to share it with their UK team that's, it's the middle of the night there when they're doing this with the US team, and all these different situations. But people were asking us to record the sessions, and that gave me an idea. And I said, I wonder if we could record a bunch of sessions like classes and then sell them to a company. I wonder if a company would pay for access to content. So I brought in 2 full-time videographers. I brought in a head of content production, and we built out what then was the best we could do. Now looking back, most of that content doesn't exist anymore because it's such bad production quality and stuff. But we built out a little MVP, just like a handful of sessions in each category. And I just got to work and I just started trying to sell it, calling companies, calling people in our database, meeting with brokers, showing them the product. And actually, when I first started showing the product, I didn't even have a product. I started showing them the concept of the product, which anybody who's done anything in like the software world, is not that weird, but it felt really weird to me to show somebody basically pictures of what we think we're going to build in a screen share, but it's like built in like XD or whatever. So it's like, looks like it's a real app, but it's not actually built. It's just actually pictures that you can click on and they do things. So anyway, I just started showing these demos of our content platform, trying to sell it. And then while that's going on, at the same time, I have life coaches that are coming to me and they're saying, hey, we're meeting with people and they're using us as therapists and we are not therapists. They are struggling with anxiety. There's issues around depression. There's PTSD. There's substance abuse. These people are suffering and we're just life coaches. We cannot solve these problems for them. We are not like licensed or anything to help them with that. So they were just asking me, they're like, let's get a referral partner. Can we find someone that we can work with that we can just start sending referrals to, just so these people get the help they need? And I thought, okay, yeah, let's find a referral partner. So I get on the phone again and I just start meeting with all these clinics just here in Utah, just asking them, hey, we have people that need help. We just want to get them to see someone. Do you have any bandwidth? Is there any way we can start referring them to you? And over again, seriously, it's like 3 or 4 times. I'm like, okay, there's a pattern here. They all said the same thing. They said, we don't have any bandwidth to help you. We're booked out for months. We're understaffed. Like, there's nothing we can do. So that was really a big light bulb moment for me because I said, well, there's a huge demand. Like all of these people need help. And companies at the same time are frustrated because their employees are reporting that they can't get in to see someone through health insurance for 2 to 3 months. If they have an employee assistance program, that employee assistance program is booked out. And so, yeah, I just recognized that pattern and I thought, well, we already have a platform that can manage scheduling and it can do licensing by state. And, is there an opportunity for us to fill that need? So my next thought was maybe there's just this huge shortage of counselors across the US and maybe we just need to, we should see if we can hire people, but maybe there's just no people to hire. So that was my next hypothesis. So I said, I'm going to bring my recruiting team back from furlough. And my recruiting team, they, for 10 years, had been hiring massage therapists in mass. So we could book an event in LA and maybe we only have 15 therapists there, but the event calls for 25. My recruiting team could fill that staffing need and hire 10 more people with like as little as a week's notice. And they were really awesome at it. And that was kind of our brand promise, is like, as long as we had so much notice, we could staff anything. So I brought them back and I said, okay, guys, I know we've been hiring massage therapists. Now we're going to hire a new type of therapist. I want to go after mental health therapists. And let's just see if we can take the systems and processes we already built for hiring and onboarding and managing all of these massage therapists and just apply it to a new practitioner type. And so we got some job ads up and our recruiting team came in and they had no problem hiring people. So I was like, okay, well, there's that. So now we've got this small team of mental health therapists. We've got this content product and I'm trying to sell them both. So I'm meeting with people, doing a lot of meetings with brokers and I'm showing them our platform. Now it's one platform that has content and also the ability to book with people, but I'm kind of pitching it separately because in my head at the time they were separate. And so some brokers put us in the employee wellness box and started pitching us to their clients as a wellness solution. And then some clients put us in the mental health box and started pitching us as a solution to employee mental health. And we kind of go to market doing both of those things side by side, and I'm just trying to see what I can sell. So we closed our first account October 1st of 2020. Our first client started, and they were a mental health client. And I'm going to actually skip ahead to here, and then I'm going to go back to those other slides. So yeah, we launched with our first client October 1st of 2020. They did just mental health. It was a knife manufacturer here in Utah. And then since then, we, in that very first year, so we're 16 months in right now to the pivot, 630,000 in ARR, so annual recurring revenue. So that's how much money we have on contracts in the first year that we pivoted. Margins, we went from having 50% massage margins to having 86% margins on the new model, because the model is SaaS based, which is awesome. Growth rate, we are moving super aggressively. As you can see, the revenue is just increasing every month. Closed 54 clients in our first year, about 11,000 employees covered. And then utilization was high because the need for mental health was so big, and we were solving this problem of access to care for their employees. People were able to get in so quickly that we were seeing really high utilization rates. And then we're just kind of Q4 did our first renewals because our first client launched in Q4 of 2020. And most of our clients have renewed. So that's pretty awesome. We actually have negative revenue churn. So the amount of revenue, because you measure churn in clients, like how many clients have you lost? And then you measure churn in revenue. So how much revenue have you lost as people cancel? Our revenue churn is actually negative 35%, meaning when we do renewals, we're renewing them at a higher rate than we originally signed them at. So we're actually making net more money than we were previously. So anyway, that is the growth. So what ended up happening, what we ended up coming at the market with is, and it actually happened from one of the clients that we closed. So we went head to head with Modern Health, which is kind of the biggest B2B employee mental health provider in the space. They're very well funded. I think they've raised like 130 million in venture capital, right? And we're like, we raised like 1 million as a massage company. And then we did have a fundraise. We raised 830,000 in Q1 of last year. So just about a year ago, it closed in February of last year. So we're 12 months into that fundraise. So we're coming at the market with basically 800 grand in funding, and we're going against this huge beast of a company that has over 100 million in funding. But we won this contract, and I had to sit down with the client and ask why, because I thought, no way we're going to win this, because we're competing against this company that has like a bigger network, a better product, all this. And what they said is that they were sold on the fact that their employees could work with more than just a therapist. So it was kind of like this merging of the employee wellness idea with the mental health idea. And we recognized that like it was valuable to employers to be like, our employees can work with a therapist, they can work with a financial coach, they can work with a registered dietitian, they can work with a personal trainer, whatever it is they need to take care of their needs. They liked that. They liked that flexibility and that customization. So this is where we ended up. This is where we're at today. So if you look at a typical company, they might have Headspace for meditation, and they might have something like WellRight or Burn Along for corporate wellness, which corporate wellness traditionally is only fitness-based, right? Wellness is now starting to expand into these other categories, which is great. So, and then they're going to have an employee assistance program. Maybe they work with LifeWorks or something like that. And then the big one that people are adding in 2022 is financial wellness. So maybe they have a financial wellness platform they're going to roll out, like a Saveology or something like that. So what happens is all of these companies have these niche solutions where they're paying per employee per month for every solution. So as an HR person, I'm managing 4 or 5 different vendors, 4 or 5 different invoices. I have to promote all of these platforms to my employees. I have to teach them what their benefits are in onboarding. We have to do like reminding campaigns, trying to keep them engaged with the things that the company is paying for. And employees are not using it. They're paying all this per employee per month fee, and then across all the products, they're getting like this teeny little bit of employee engagement. Because if I'm an employee, I'm only using the meditation app if I like to meditate. If I don't like to meditate, I'm opting out of that. But maybe I'll use the finance app because maybe I'm living paycheck to paycheck and it's causing me stress and I want to improve that. Or maybe I use the wellness platform because I'm really into fitness. So it's kind of what we recognize is that companies were starting to eliminate their EAP and eliminate their wellness provider. And then we even have a handful of companies doing massage that are back in the office. And the ability to say we have one app and it has everything for employee well-being on it. You can book your 15-minute massage at work, or you can, talk to a therapist, or you can do a meditation or listen to a sleep neuro music track, like all in one app. It was actually really powerful. And it just made it easier for HR, as you can imagine, and essentially saves them money. So our go-to-market strategy with this kind of new positioning, kind of recognizing like, oh, this is what our strength is in this highly competitive market, being the one solution for employee mental health that is holistic, whereas everyone else is just focused on therapy network. We're like, yeah, there's a therapy network, but we have all these other tools to prevent people from getting into crisis in the first place. So I started just getting involved in these HR conferences. And one of the things we recognized is that there's just a hunger for information. HR is desperate. Companies are desperate. They're trying to figure out how to reduce burnout, how to keep their employees from being part of the Great Recession or resignation. And they're trying to figure out how to help their employees who are struggling with mental health. They're seeing prescription costs go through the roof. They're seeing mental health demand going up. So brokers, events, inbound, that's basically where we've focused our pipeline generation efforts. So sales pipeline. And then we've just got a few minutes left. So these are just some of the clients we work with. So like here in Utah, we work with Lendio and Homey, Thread Wallets, Blade HQ, Domo is one of our clients. So it's been fun, a lot of tech companies. And then this is just kind of our plans for the future as we're moving further and further into platform and being a platform company. There's a lot of cool things we're going to be putting on the platform. So anyway, and I think we're just starting questions.
Okay, can you hear us?
Yeah.
All right, we are unmuted now. So, well, first of all, how about a round of applause? Thank you, man. There are so many places we could dive deeper. We may have to have a more long-lasting conversation. Okay, it's open for you for questions. If you want to ask a question, we'll see if she can hear you. If not, I'll repeat it. Got some questions. Go ahead.
How did she go about investing fundraising for her projects?
How did you go about fundraising for your project?
Well, I did have a little bit of help because when we got that grant, I went through the Boom Startup Accelerator and they help you kind of build your pitch deck and you test it with some of their advisors. But I formed a board of advisors prior to that, and that board of advisors had a lot of experience. They are investors. They've raised money in the past. So I just sat down with them and I did practice pitches and they helped me formulate the story I was putting together, which I remember even thinking, man, he knows how to do this. I don't know if I'm ever going to know how to put this together because my brain didn't work like that. But once you've done it enough, you kind of get what they're looking for. You understand the story you need to tell. I mean, there's Y Combinator has a really great blog post that actually talks you through the critical 7 slides for the slide deck and how to position them. So there's a lot of resources out there, but yeah, I just got my pitch down and then I started pitching. I pitched to Salt Lake Angels, I pitched to Park City Angels, and I got investors from both. So I would look into the angel groups because that's a great opportunity. In fact, with the fundraise, I'm in the middle of the fundraise right now. I pitched to U.S. Angels, which are out of the Bay Area, and that got me in front of a bunch of investors that invest personally, but they're also connected to a lot of big venture funds as well.
Okay, other questions? Yes.
I'm curious a little bit about your educational background and how you decided to get into entrepreneurship.
Can you talk a little more about your education background and how that tied to entrepreneurship and how that got you going there?
Yeah, so my educational background, I always feel bad talking to universities because I went to college for 2 years. I studied computer science for a year, and then exercise physiology and nutrition up at the U. And then I just was working for myself ever since. I ran out of money to college and I never went back. But yeah, I studied 2 years of computer programming in high school and go tech school. And I went to college in Missouri, and then I went to Utah and went here. But educational background, yeah, I don't have any educational background in entrepreneurship. However, I've been interested in entrepreneurship for as long as I can remember. I mean, even in elementary school, my dad got these cookies for wholesale, and I would buy them from him and then sell them at school. And made really good money until the school shut us down. So just always kind of trying to find ways and looking for opportunities, trying to find ways to build it into a business. But yeah, I mean, it was Murray.com, Incorporate Massage, and then Nivati. So
Great. Okay, another question.
Just more of like a personal level, how does she balance being a mom and a business owner?
So on a personal level, how do you balance being a mom and an entrepreneur and juggling all those hats?
yeah, it's not the easiest thing ever. I work really hard and I get really focused and kind of obsessed over things that I'm doing. And I actually rely on my husband a lot to kind of push me. Like he'll like raise the flag and be like, yeah, you need to slow down, or you're doing too much, or, you know, I'm worried about your health, or I just, it's not easy. I would say I depend on my support system a little bit, but I try for myself. I try to always think of things in, you know, what are the most important things I can do today? And that includes my business and my family. So, you know, the other day, like my 16-year-old daughter came home crying and was upset about something. I'm in the middle of a job interview, and I'm just like, you're gonna have to hold on. And I just sit down with my daughter and talk to her. So I try to look at through that lens and be like, what is the most important thing I need to do today? Is that this with my children? Or is that work? And it's, I mean, it goes up and down, right? You'll have times where you're working a lot harder and you're spending time with your family. But then afterward, I always try to make sure I have time to come back down. You know, take my family on a vacation, take a couple days off, whatever the case may be. But it doesn't come naturally for me anyway. I have to be intentional about it. And I set boundaries so that like I always have dinner with my family every night. I never work on Sunday. And yeah, just you have to plan for it. Otherwise, we'll just fill in all the cracks because it's never ending.
Great. Okay, other questions? Yes, please. Yep.
So earlier she showed a graphic of customer acquisition. It was kind of like up and down, constantly going up, but it went up and down a lot. Is there any reason like that action means that are on and off?
Okay, good question. I noticed that too. On your customer acquisition chart that had the ups and downs, you had some spikes in there, peaks. What was causing, what was driving that? Was there certain ad campaigns or something that would trigger that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. A lot of our revenue went around seasonality. So I realized that pretty early in was that there's all these like made up corporate holidays that exist where it's like Administrative Professionals Day, Nurses Week, Tax Account Week, or whatever, like for accountants after taxes. We started to recognize we'd have these influxes of business during these made up corporate holidays. And so, but that's all transactional revenue, right? Someone will have us in just for the day because it's like a special day, and then they don't have us in again until the next year on that day. So I started shifting our strategy to acquire more massage contracts. We even adjust our comp plans. Like you got almost nothing for closing events, like 1%. But for closing contracts where we're there like every Monday, you know, our sales reps made like 10 or 12%. So we started incentivizing that behavior so that the seasonality would slow down a little bit on the transactional revenue side. But there's still, like, as we grew, the event still grew and got bigger and bigger and bigger. And we, you know, would do more and more during Nurses Week was like one of the biggest things. So every May we would just have this huge influx of hospital. Like we would have blackout days where we couldn't service them all, even with subcontracting out to partners if we had to. It was crazy. So yeah, it's mostly just seasonal events.
Okay, good. Any other questions? Anybody? Sorry, go ahead.
I cannot hear you guys if you're talking. I think the mic might be muted.
Okay, so I'll repeat it.
How do you find motivation to expand rather than just stay small?
How do you find motivation to expand rather than just kind of stay steady or small?
Oh, now I can't. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, how do you find motivation to expand as opposed to just kind of stay steady and small?
Well, part of it's intrinsic because I'm just motivated to achieve. I'm built that way. But the space that I'm in now is highly competitive and very well funded. So I have no choice but to move forward and expand and grow revenue, because otherwise we run out of money. Like once you jump on the venture funding treadmill, you don't get off. You exit. So now I have we have to triple revenue in 18 months if we want to raise money again. Otherwise, we go out of business. So when you're venture funded, yeah, that's the life you're signing up for. Is like you have to push, you have to move forward, and if you fail, you run out of money and you go out of business. So it's different. My business model before, we were profitable, and even though we took angel funding, we got back to profitability the first time. We got back to profitability the second time. So that could have remained a lifestyle business that just made our family comfortable. But because of COVID, we didn't really have a choice. So it's been more like run for your life, kind of a mindset. Yeah, you just got to put everything into it, and you have to hit these numbers, and you just have to know that like it could all fall apart at any time, which sounds really ominous and sad and stressful, but it's also really exciting. Getting venture capital is very validating, right? They see that you have something that's very valuable that they can see. It's not just you thinking, oh, I can 10x this company. They're seeing that you can 10x this company or more, because they need at least a 10x return on their money. So to have somebody who's a professional investor that just hears everybody's pitches day in and day out say, hey, we're going to give you millions of dollars is very validating and really helps boost your confidence, I would say.
Okay. And okay, finding my spot. Thank you. And just to close, I want to ask the audience a few questions, and this will give Amelia some validation. I don't know if you can see this or not, but if you were an investor and you heard this pitch, you heard this story, you kind of got an idea, how many think this is a problem that really is out there? Raise your hands. Okay, most of the class. How many think how many think there's a lot of people out there that have this problem and need help? Okay, also a number of hands. How many like the solution or think that what she's done has found a good solution to the problem? Okay. Can you make money at it? Is this something that has the ability? Raise your hand if you think you can make money. Okay, a fifth question I'm going to ask you. How much confidence would you have in Amelia to be the leader of this enterprise? Raise your hand if you say, I'm with you all the way. That's almost all of the audience there, Amelia. I really think this is a fabulous story. And when you're going through the process of building an enterprise and an entrepreneurship journey, this really rocks it, because it really is a problem that exists. There are great opportunities to make money in the process, because you really are solving a problem that people have. And the leadership and the experience and the grit to have COVID rock your world like that, and to turn around and find a way to turn that into something even better is just an amazing story to me. So let's hear one more time for Amelia, and then we'll see you next week. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. So we'll try to see if we may have you stick around or call you back for some Q&A during lunch, if that's okay. But
Yeah.
for now, any that want to go to lunch, kind of come up to the front. Have we got spots left, Maddie? So we have a few spots left. So if you want to go to lunch with us, come on up and talk, and we'll go from there. Thank you.